Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's tutorial is inspired by one of your comments. We are building a sleek sneaker storefront that sends submissions directly to Google Sheets, all with Tailwind CSS, no backend required. Whether you're a beginner or looking to streamline your workflow, this is a simple, fast solution that you will love. So grab your tools and let's jump right in. Let's start with the header. We will use W-full, PX10, and on LG PX20, PY4 for spacing, and flex, justify between item center to align everything horizontally. Then we add shadow MD for subtle depth and BG white for the background. Now inside that, the desktop nav is hidden. LG flex, we add W full, justify between, item center, and P4 to space and align content. For the logo, we use a div and place the image inside it. Next up, the navigation links. This nav uses space X6, text base, font medium, and text gray 700. Each link has hover, text black for interactivity. Now to the right section, we add a div with flex, item center, space X4. Each icon button uses a text gray 600 color, and on hover text black, and we place SVGs inside. Let's move to the mobile nav, which is hidden on large screens using LG hidden. It is a nav with fixed BG white, width 300 pixels, the top 0, left minus 300 pixels, height screen, and shadow 2XL. We'll add transition all, duration 300, and z-index 20 for the sliding effect. Inside the mobile menu, we use flex, flex call, hide full, px12, and gap y12. Then we place the logo, and below that, an unordered list with flex, flex call, gap y5. Each link inside has transition all, duration 300, text secondary, and text accent on hover. Finally, the mobile menu toggle is placed inside a flex, justify between, and LG hidden container. We include the hamburger icon and the close icon, switching them with simple JavaScript later. And that's the responsive navbar built with Tailwind CSS. Alright, let's build a hero section for our sneaker storefront. We start with a section tag, give it a class of relative, width full to make it full width. Then we add BG white, overflow hidden, and padding with px6 and py12. On larger screens, we are going to increase the vertical padding using LGPY24. Inside it, we will create a centered container with max width 7XL, make it a grid, and set its gap to 10. We're also going to center items vertically with items center. Let's work on the left section first. It's in a div with text center on mobile and text left on larger screens. We'll add vertical spacing and make sure it stacks above with z-index of 10. Now for the heading, we'll use an h1 tag with text 4XL on small screens and text 9rem for larger screens. We're going to make it bold and tighten spacing with leading tight. The text color will be text gray 900. And we are going to highlight the word shoes in a span with italic and text gray 600. Below that, a CTA button wrapped in a flex box to center or left align it. Inside, a link styled like a button with margin top 4, inline flex, items center, and space x2. We'll add some padding and give it a background of black and set its text to white. We're going to make it rounded and add a hover effect. Inside the button, we've got a text and a right arrow icon. Simple and clean. Let's move to the center image. We're going to place it in a div with a class of relative and call span1. We center the content with flex, justify center, item center, and shift it up on large screens by giving it a negative margin top of 12. We're going to give it a z-index of 0 so that it lays under the text. Inside the image wrapper, we'll use a class of relative, width full, max width 500 pixels, and scale 110. We'll use an image with a slight rotation, that is -5 degrees. Add a little shadow. And scale it up on hover. Finally, the right content section. It mirrors the left with text center, LG text left, space Y9, z-index 10. Inside, we've got a p tag with a muted color, text gray 600. Set to max width MD, MX Auto, and on large screens, MX0. Next is the social proof avatars, wrapped in classes flex, flex core, item center, and LG item stats. The avatar row will be wrapped in a class of flex and set negative horizontal padding. Each image is having an equal width and height, rounded full, giving a black ring around it. And finally, for the 10K badge, it will be the same size as the image with a black background and white text. We're also going to add text XS and center the content using flex, item center, and justify center. Lastly, the review text will have a class of text SM, margin top 4, set to a gray color, and font medium. Let's build the popular collections section. We start with a section tag and give it an ID of collection. Styling, we are going to set its background to white, horizontal padding of 6, vertical padding 12 on small screens, and 20 on larger screens. Inside that, we create a container with max width 7XL, MX Auto. This centers the content and limits its maximum width. Now, let's add a section header. We create a div with flex, justify between, item center, and margin bottom 8. For the heading, we use 2XL on small screens and 3XL on large screens. Set its font to bold and give it a darker gray color. Then the View All Products link with classes text SM, text gray 600, and on hover, text black and a bit of transition. Now, let's build a product grid. We'll use a div with a single column on mobile, 2 columns on small screens, 3 on medium, with enough spacing between the items. Each product card starts with group, adds a border, rounded corners, padding, and a shadow on hover. Next, the image takes full width, a fixed height, and keeps the aspect ratio. We'll rotate it for style and give it a bottom margin. Then, the product name will have a semi-bold font, dark gray text, and a small bottom margin. For the price text, we'll give it a light gray color and a small size. For the action buttons, we'll wrap them in a margin top of 2, horizontal flex layout, evenly spaced, light gray color, and small fonts. The heart icon button turns red on hover. And the cat icon button turns black on hover. The rest of the cards will follow the same structure with some few tweaks. Alright, let's build a sleek promo section. We start with a section and give it an ID of promo. For the background, we use BG gradient to write from purple 600 to indigo 700 to create a left to right gradient. Then we apply text white, PX4 and PY16 for padding and text color. Inside, we wrap everything in a maximum width of 7XL, MX Auto, Grid, MD Grid calls to, Gap 8, Item Center. This gives us a responsive two-column layout that's centered and spaced out. For the left column, we add a heading with text 3XL, MD text 4XL, font bold, MB4 for size and spacing. Then a paragraph with text LG, MD text XL, MB6 to keep it readable and stylish. And for the button, we are giving it classes inline block, BG white, text indigo 700, font semi-bold, vertical and horizontal padding, rounded edges, shadow, and on hover BG gray 100. This makes a clean white bar thing with a smooth hover effect and a nice round shape. For the right column, the image, we place it in a relative container so that we can absolutely position that discount tag later. The image itself has width full, max width XL, object cover, and then we'll rotate it negative 15 degrees. Then we add a span above it with absolute, top 4, right 8, a yellow background, small text, font bold, horizontal and vertical padding, set it to rounded full, and shadow MD. That gives us a bold standout 20% off label floating on the image. For our all collection section, we are going to duplicate our initial code for our popular collections section and then just increase the number of items. Now, let's build a contact form section. We'll begin with a section tag and assign it an ID of contact. For styling, we add PT12, PX6. Next, we wrap the content inside a div with max width 3XL, MX Auto, text center. For the section title, we use a large font size, bold weight, and a margin below it. For the description text, we are going to apply these classes. They give the text a soft gray color and margin at the bottom. Now, let's add the form elements. For styling, we use the following classes to ensure the input takes full width with padding, a border, rounded corners, and a focus ring effect when selected. Now, for the submit button, we are going to give it a class of width full, a dark background color, white text, rounded corners, and a hover effect for interaction. Below the form, we have a paragraph to show form status. This will display feedback after submission. Now, for the confirmation modal, we style it with a class fixed, insert 0, bg black, bg opacity 50, flex, item center, justify center, and a z-index of 50. This positions the modal in the center of the screen with a semi-transparent background. Inside the modal, we have a card with a background white, rounded corners, padding, and a shadow effect. For the title in the modal, we are going to use a large text size, bold text with a margin at the bottom, and green color to indicate success. The message text in the modal is styled with gray color and margin below it. We are going to add a close button to ensure that the user closes the modal when done. To close the modal, we call the close modal function when the button is clicked. The modal will disappear and the user can return to the page. And that's how we build a contact form session with a confirmation modal. Let's create a footer for our page. We begin by adding the footer tag with these classes: bg gray 800, text white, and margin top 20. Inside the footer, we'll have a div container and limit its width to 7XL, center the content, add padding on the X and Y axis, and use a grid with 1 column on small screens and 4 columns on medium screens, with a gap of 2 rem. Finally, we'll add the various parts of the footer and style them accordingly. And that's how we build a simple and clean footer section with Tailwind CSS. Now, let's dive into the JavaScript functionality for mobile navigation and form submission. First, we set up an event listener to trigger when the document content has fully loaded. This ensures that the script runs once the page has finished loading. Next, we define some variables for the mobile navigation toggle. We grab the menu button, mobile navigation container, and the two icons using getElement by ID. These IDs are linked to elements in the HTML. We also introduce a variable isOpen set to false to track whether the menu is open or closed. Then, we create a close menu function that hides the mobile navigation menu. It sets the mobile nav style left to -300 pixels, moving the menu off screen. It also hides the open icon and shows the close icon. We now set up the toggle functionality. When the menu button is clicked, we toggle the value of isOpen. This toggles the mobile menu visibility by setting the mobile nav style left to either 0, that is for open, or -300 pixels, close. Next, we add an event listener to close the mobile menu if the user clicks outside of the menu or the toggle button. We check if isOpen is true, and if the click event target isn't inside the menu or the button itself, we call close menu to hide the menu. We're also going to add a functionality to close the mobile menu when any link inside the navigation is clicked. We use query selector all to select all anchor tags inside the mobile nav and add an event listener for the click event that calls close menu. Now, let's look at the form submission part. We define the script URL for the Google Sheets API and select the form and status elements. We add an event listener for the submit event on the form. When the form is submitted, we prevent the default form submission using e.preventDefault and display the text sending in the status element. Next, we use fetch to send the form data to the Google Sheets API. The data is sent using the post method, and we include the form data as new form data. If the response is successful, we reset the form and hide the status text. We also show the confirmation modal by removing the hidden class. If there is an error, we display an error message in the status element. If there's a network issue, we catch the error and display a network error message. Finally, we create a function called closeModal to close the confirmation modal by adding the hidden class when the close button is clicked. And that's a wrap on our mobile navigation toggle and form submission script. It handles the menu toggle functionality and sends form data to Google Sheets with error handling and modal confirmation. Let's walk through how to set up a Google Sheet backend for submitting form data. First, create a new Google Sheet. This will be where the form submissions are stored. Next, navigate to the menu and click on Extensions. Then, select Apps Script. This will open the script editor. In the script editor, paste the following code. This code will capture the form data and append it to your Google Sheet. Now, click on Deploy in the top right corner and select New Deployment. Choose Web App from the deployment options. Set access to anyone so that anyone can submit the form. Finally, copy the web app URL provided after deployment. This URL is your endpoint for submitting the form data. Go back to your JavaScript code and replace the script ID with the web app URL you just copied. That is, you've set up a Google Sheets backend to handle form submissions. Next, we are going to test the submission. And that's it for this build. We just created a clean, fully functional sneaker store UI with Tailwind CSS, responsive design, and a working form that submits straight to Google Sheets. If you found this helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more front-end tutorials, and drop a comment if you want me to cover anything specific next time. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.